we go.
Hello everyone, this is John with Money on the Floor Currency Trader, and I have our Money on the Floor template up. And what you can see on here is you can see support and resistance, which is very important. There's many things on here that are very important. The 50 moving average is very important. The colored candles are very important. The other thing is the patterns. Like you can see a megaphone, so you can see that it's going up, down, possibly going back up. These are all things that I'm looking for in the chart as far as patterns. These are areas that I'm looking for a structure where we're going, and it lines up with our support and resistance. Everything looks at that for the new week coming up. So we got a new week coming up. I'm looking for a big move up. Nobody knows if it breaks this bottom. We're actually going down because this is a big downtrend. And last time we had a shape like this was up in here. And what did it do? It continued down. So you never know in the markets. But one thing, when I opened up the markets and I started putting these lines on there, I'm looking and I added the daily chart to the bottom, which is for our X over, which is our direction for the higher time frames. So right now we have the 60, we have the 240, and the daily. Now I like those on there because I need to make sure we're going in the same way as the higher time frames. If you're not trading with the higher time frames, you're probably in the long term going to lose money. I mean, that's just all there is to it. That's what I've found over all the years. The higher time frame always wins. Now short term, yes, you may lose or win a couple small trades, but long term, that is where the market's going, is where those are going. So what I want to do is break down this template and show you how awesome this is. So if we start here on the cursor, you can see right here, the first one we start out with, we have on the magenta lines, we can see that we have an uptrend at that point. Now what happens? We have resistance. We also, if you look at the bottom, the RSI is very, very important in our trading because when it's above the dotted line, this one right here is the 50 line right there. When we're above that, it's green and we're buying. And if you look down below, everything, the daily is green, the 4 hour is green, and the hour is changing back and forth, but it is mostly green. At that time, it's a strong, strong buy trend, so that if you kept taking pullbacks into this, you were going to make tons of money. And that's what it's all about. Once we got over here to the next magenta, it started to roll over. Now what happened in here? The only thing I can see that's really happened is the RSI is still green, but it is pointing down. Now I don't know if I would be selling at this point. I'd probably wait for the RSI to go red. And at that time we're getting closer to the 50, which is up into here, which is a very important area for me. Once we're under the 50, it's always selling. Above the 50, we're always buying. But we only want to buy to a certain point. So therefore, if you bought to where we went red here and you waited for it to all go red, which was right there, everything is red. This would have been a great place here just to make nothing but money. You could just keep buying and selling through here. You could even hold. You could add so many positions to this area right here. You could have passed any prop firm with this one trade. That's how awesome that was, and we all can see that. We all know that, and this chart shows it to you. Now the question is, even if the chart shows it to you, are you willing to believe it? So that's the problem. That's sometimes the problem I have, is I am trying to buy this market and it changes and I don't believe that we're going down yet. I try to hold the positions too long, and that's a problem. So that has been one big problem that everybody knows that I've had, and that's with any trading. You cannot hold a position too long. Otherwise what happens is you make $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, and then what happens? You hold it through here and you give it all back, or right about here you realize, you know what, it's over, I got to give it back. So we need to figure out how to not do that. And the way I can see that is if I'm selling through here and we get to this point, what's the first thing it tells me we might be going the other way? The resistance. So maybe at that point, once we have this, my selling trade is over with until we break that point, which would be a structured area, which would make sense because I definitely am a strong believer in structure. What does that line up almost with this one right here too? So it makes sense. See how it coincides with this other area. So it's a larger area, but definitely these both all go together. This is probably a large area in the market we need to be very careful of. And that's why it's good to look over the charts in the big picture. Even though it's on the 15-minute chart, this is what I'd be looking at. But this is the big picture of what I'd be looking at. And that's where it really helps me to make a decision. So obviously, if I hit any type of opposite resistance and I'm selling, my selling is over with at that point. And that would make sense to me. Because if I try to to sell in this area, I'm probably just going to lose money until finally it broke it, which is right in here. See, it broke it right there. So this whole area is basically the smart money trying to take your money, basically. I mean, this whole area right in here. And that's all this is right there. That's consolidation. That's the big banks taking your money and then going back in their direction. And what happens is you can actually see all this happening. If we go through here, we can actually see all of it. We can come through here. Any type of, there's a big consolidation is right there. It just makes so much sense when you see it on the long term. And there's another one over here. They're everywhere, I mean, but that's not where we make our money. We make our money in the trending areas, and that's what we do know. We all know this. Now, the question is, since we know that's there, we know to stay out of there. If we're into this and we get into there, so we want to know when to stop. So if I'm trading with this resistance behind me, right, so that's resistance, and once we get down here, we hit support, I stop my sell trade. So if I'm in this awesome sell trade, you can see that everything is red from right here until right there. The 60 minutes start to go green at that point. Plus we have our resistance already probably popped up, the green. You would stop at that point. Now, when would you start up again? Well, you'd only be looking for buys. And the problem is most everything here is not all green yet. It's all mixed up. So since it's mixed up, we should actually stay out of the market. Now we do get all red at a couple certain points. And you could sell that right there because the RSI is red down here. And at this point right there, it is red to red. So if we zoomed out, you could probably sell all that. So as long as everything lined up, you're going to have your best chances. But the thing is, you want to be very careful in here to be, if you're being careful, because this is consolidation. This is where the bank takes their money. What they're hoping is you get off kilter and you buy at the top and sell at the bottom. And if you do that, you lose money. If you buy or sell in the middle, you will probably lose money. So the idea is to, from the top down and from the bottom up, inside consolidation, you will make money. And this template shows you where that area is. That's what's so awesome about this. I cannot go over it enough. My main thing is to make sure I listen to it, because sometimes I don't listen to the obvious. Human nature tells us that we know better, and we do not. We know what the charts tell us, and we need to listen to the charts. That's the only thing I've learned, and that's from all my losses. The wins are awesome, but I did a video here where I was just winning nothing money from this point down here to this point right here. Why? Because the RSI was red, right underneath the 50. We were trading every pullback there was. Everything was in a downtrend. If you can do that, that's awesome. In here, where it's all green, that's awesome. Where it's all red, that's awesome, because you're going to have that. This whole thing, as long as the bottom two are in the same color, you're in a pretty strong downtrend or uptrend. The 60 minutes is going to tell you to be careful or not be careful. Now, as you zoom out on this, it even becomes more apparent, and we can do that too. But this is the big picture. So this is basically the bank's consolidations. The best place to make money are these runs down to these areas and away from these areas, as you can see. Also, we know that we've been in a strong downtrend, and now we're in a megaphone over here. Whether we're going to continue the megaphone up or not, that's the question. If we do, that's great. We break, this is going to be support. If we break that, then we're going down possibly to this area here. If we break that, we're obviously going down. But the chart will tell us this. Just we have to be smart enough to listen to what we're seeing. If not, we're going to lose money. And we do not need to trade all the time. We need to trade in these awesome areas. But if you're going to trade in consolidation, then you better listen to this even more. See, when you're in trending, you can just listen to the bottom two numbers. Those are going to take you in the right directions. You can obviously see that because of the chart. I mean, you can stop this and take a look at it yourself. Now let's zoom in on this so we can get a little bit better look. So if we look at it right here, where we're all green, the bottom one's still red, telling us we're still going down. And it was going up, but it still went down. So therefore, this isn't a great time to trade either. We want to trade when they're all the same color. And they're not all the same color till, it looks like, till right about there. Now that's a great uptrend. You got a great uptrend only to that point. So if you did that, you were fine. But you'd have to get out because you're in consolidation. And at that point, there's no more trading. It did go back down. But we know the overall trend is up. So you could listen to the top two, because it's not the overall trend. You're going counter trend. That would only be the top two colors. And you could trade that back down until one of them turned green, and then you were out. Now, once we went a little bit more, they all went green, and that was probably a great little uptrend. If you're trading that, that was fine. But this is trading consolidation. You're trading a megaphone pattern to the upside. But the thing is if you do that, that's great because you're catching the little moves, because these little moves do work out. But once they're all green, look at that big move up. Went red right in there. You got resistance, so I would probably be out at that time. And that's a good reason to get out of the market, is you went up and you hit a wall. And then from there, you know you're going to pull back down. Now you can trade that back down because you know once you hit resistance, it's going to be counter trend unless you break above that resistance. Right here, the top two ones are red. Was a good move down right to this point, even down to this point. But once you started, those two weren't lined up, that's the time to get out. And then once we get them all three green, that's a strongest move up there is. Up it goes. RSI is green too. And the other thing too is the RSI is green. Maybe you don't even want to be selling in here. Maybe this is a really good sign to stay out of the market because we're all mixed up. So this is really bad in here. If you traded in this, you probably lost. But definitely look, when they're all three green, that's where the money is. When they're all three green, that's where the money is. So you really need to stay out of the market until all three of them are the same color. And then you have an awesome trade. Now the two bottom ones are green all the way to way over here. And you can see that that was a great up move. So if you got in the market right here, and at that moment you had pullback, and if you added trades to that because the bottom two are still green, you made money. If you added trades, so this is telling me we got pullbacks in the market on the 60-minute. And I would take advantage of that because I would be putting trades in, adding trades to the kitty. So you could either do that or wait for it to go all green and then add some more in, and then up you go. So if you had one, you could have held it. Maybe you got out when it went red. Maybe that's probably the best thing to do. It's always best to exit the trade. Why hold a drawdown? And then once we went all green again, you can start adding again, right on up you go. So that makes the most sense. So if you can trade when these bottom three are all the same colors and in line with the RSI, and using everything in here that's telling you what's going on, and stop thinking for yourself as a human, but let the charts tell you where it is. All you're trying to do is read the charts. All we're doing is reading price action. All we're doing is reading what the market is telling us. But this is what the market's telling us, is this down here, and that's why it's so important. I mean, look at this strong down move right here. I wouldn't take it here because the RSI is green. Once the RSI went red, that was a great down move all the way to this point. It turned green right there. I would exit, let it pull back and forth. What did it do? It made a double top. It gave an arrow. There is the best move down right there. To that point, you had a pull back, you exit, let it pull back, and you go. Nothing but money. So if you listen to the template will make you money. All right, everybody. You know that's what we're all about, but I'm not trying to make it complicated. I am trying to understand this myself, and I'm sharing you what I have learned, because we're all here to make money. And if you got this email, it's because you use this template and you listen to me, and we're all trying to make money together. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to help me, and I'm here to help you. So anyway, let's have a great weekend. It is the weekend. I'm still studying this. I'm still learning. I'm very excited. All I want to do is become wealthy and not worry about money anymore, and that's what we're here to do. That is my goal. And I know if you're listening to this, that is your goal. So let's make money in the markets, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.